have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that.
What's up, CJ's Keto Kitchen family? This is CJ.
I'm Sarah.
It's a Wednesday, and that means it's time for another keto
Conversations.
So let's get started. All right, so we're back at you with the keto conversation, the first one for 2022.
But the second one in a row.
The second one in a row where we're actually sitting down to talk. So we wanted to do kind of our annual beginning of the year, how to start keto. I'll start by saying that we are not physicians or medical professionals. Just like everybody else will tell you, you should probably consult with your physician if you're going to make major changes to your diet. It's pretty prudent to do that, but we aren't trying to give you medical advice. If you ask us questions about medical advice, we're not going to give you any medical advice. We're just going to tell you what we've done to start keto, and it aligns pretty well with most of the keto research that's out there. And we're just going to go through some really common sense ways to start the keto diet. We live keto as a lifestyle, but we started it as doing the keto diet. Did you start it to lose weight, or did you just start it for health reasons?
You know, I get asked that often, and I honestly can't remember. I know that at the time my mother was battling cancer, or she had just finished beating cancer. And part of her treatment that she used was the ketogenic diet. And so I don't know if I did it kind of as a health measure, maybe with a side effect of weight loss. But
right. So keto has a lot more benefits than just weight loss.
But you had taken those pictures of me at the beach.
Yes.
So
yes, and I'll put that in there.
So I kind of I had some motivation there.
Yeah. And so one of the first things we want to say is, I think your notes say make a resolve. I think that's what that says.
And that's why I had my phone open.
Yeah. Okay.
It's because, a lot of people, we're just a couple of days into January, so a lot of people, will make New Year's resolutions. And so I kind of wanted to know what the difference between a resolution and resolve is. So according to the dictionary, a resolution is defined as a decision to do or not do something, but resolve is defined as firm determination to do something. So to me, resolve is something better to have than a resolution.
So you're saying
you're firmly determined.
Make a resolve that you're going to do the keto diet.
Yes.
And make that decision firm, firm thing. So you're not just going to try it. You're not going to test it out for a little bit to see if this thing works because it worked for Aunt Susie. You're going to resolve to do it.
Because you will have obstacles in any way of life that you resolve to do. You will face challenges. And so if you make resolve, then you're going to be a little bit more determined to stick with it.
Yeah. So make up in your mind that you're going to do keto this year and you're going to do it for real. So a lot of you, you've started keto before, you've stopped it, and you've gone back to whatever you're doing before. I've been there, done that. When I started keto, I started after you did, and I was already kind of on a weight loss journey as far as how on another type of plan to lose weight. And you and I had just started dating, and I think you started doing keto. So I was ready. And that's one of the things I hope that you are, is that you're ready, and that's part of making the resolve, is that you're ready to do this. And don't just do it to lose weight, but do it to make yourself feel better, to be healthier. The weight loss is kind of just a side effect of all the other health benefits you're going to gain.
And sometimes just losing weight is a health benefit.
Yes,
it will help.
It's right. Well, it'll fix some of the other issues that you're having.
Right.
We get comments all the time about how people have started keto, they've lost all this weight, and then they've been got off their medications. They're getting off the high blood pressure medications. They're getting off of their diabetes medications. And again, we're not doctors, but we get those comments all the time, and we actually have had that happen to ourselves.
Right.
And so we know that if you make a solid resolve, that's one of the first steps towards success with keto in 2022.
Now, going back to what you said a few minutes ago about research, even though I had already started the ketogenic diet without a ton of research, it was mostly anecdotal based on, my other family members having done it. But when CJ joined me, you actually did do some research on your own it didn't have anything to do with me. So even though I was already starting to practice the ketogenic diet, and you had an interest in joining me, I know that you did some of your own research.
Yeah, so that's our next point, is do your own research. Keto, there's a lot out there about keto.
Especially now versus 6 years ago.
Yeah, when we started, there's a lot of information.
Yes.
There's a lot of do's, there's a lot of don'ts, there's a lot of rules that people kind of put in place. It doesn't mean that all of those are right or they're wrong, but one of the things we're trying to encourage you to do is do your own research. And we will put some links of places where you can get good, solid advice that's clear cut and not so overwhelming that you just get frustrated and won't do anything. So do your own research. I did some research from a site named Ruled Me. We used to actually have an affiliate to some of his materials. We liked it so much. We don't no longer have that affiliate just because he's kind of gone a different way as far as how his materials put out. But it was some good material. It was easy to understand. It was good diet plans, good food lists, and there's a lot of that information available to you for free.
Yes.
You don't have to pay for information. There are a lot of, and for us, it'd be easy to try to put some kind of course together and try to sell it to people, but you don't have to pay anybody to do the keto diet. You can learn it on your own. You can do your own research. And
in fact, the more simple you make it, the better you'll be.
Right, and that's another one of our points, is to keep it simple. So do your own research. Again, we'll put some links from some good sources where you can get good information, and then just go from there. So the next point you've got on here is what?
To focus on whole, fresh foods and to keep your choices to a minimum so that you're not overwhelmed. I did hear that point today. I was listening to a podcast, and they are now suggesting scientifically that people do better losing weight if they have a limited amount of choice. So keeping yourself within a smaller amount of food choices, especially, for your high-fat foods, pick some that you really enjoy. Bacon, eggs, avocados. We all enjoy different foods. But on the ketogenic lifestyle, sometimes, especially when you're starting out, it's much better if you can keep things very simple, if you can focus on whole, natural foods, stay away from some of the processed goodies and snacks and treats, because that will definitely maybe be something that you pursue later on when you become more accustomed to the ketogenic diet. But for CJ and I, when we first started out, we kept it pretty clean.
Yeah, we didn't start eating keto desserts, and actually when we first started, there wasn't as much
No.
in the store off the shelf stuff that you could buy.
Which is why I started making dessert recipes.
Yeah, but even for recipes that we make, yes, all those things will be helpful for you to do keto long term, but starting out, keep it simple, keep your food choices limited. Just know that eventually you will be able to get to the point where you can do, make a lot of the keto treats that we have.
But you don't need initially you're changing.
Yeah, you don't need to start
in how
out
you burn.
Right, you don't need to start out with that stuff. I would say probably
a month, 6 weeks.
Yeah, into it.
Because you're going from being a sugar burner, burning glucose, to burning fat or ketones, which is what the ketogenic diet is helping you do. And so the less you can infuse your body by giving it exogenous sugars, then the better you will train your body for the long run.
Right, because what you're trying to do is limit your carbs enough so that your body can stop using glucose as fuel, and it'll then turn to the fat that you have stored, and that becomes your fuel for your body. That's what you're trying to do, and which kind of leads us to the next point is keep your carbohydrate intake to 20 grams per day.
Which is generally the ketogenic standard. If you were just going to practice low carb, then sometimes that is more like 50 to 100 grams a day. But for the ketogenic lifestyle, it's generally considered 20 or less per day.
Right. So when we were talking, before we were preparing to do this video, we were talking about, I was looking at the notes and I said, well, are we going to talk about protein? Are we going to talk about fats and other macros?
So when you hear people talk about macros, those are macronutrients, and that's what they talk about. But we have a whole video dedicated to that.
Right.
That
So when you hear people talk about carbs, they're talking about carbohydrates.
Yes, those
proteins,
are all macros.
Fats.
Yes.
And then there's all kinds of other macronutrients. But
this was, once again, supposed to be a simple video.
20 grams of carbohydrates a day.
Yes.
So when I looked at that on your notes, I said, well, how are they going to know that they're doing 20 grams of carbs? That's a debate. And when I started doing keto, I tracked my food. I tracked it on an app for my phone. My MyFitnessPal is what I started with. And then later I graduated, I think, to like Carb Manager. Both of those things you can do for free, and then of course if you pay for them, there's more features you can unlock. But both of those things are pretty good as far as the selection of foods you can put in, the variety, and then sometimes with MyFitnessPal you gotta kind of look at some of the stuff because people are putting that stuff in and some of it might look off to you. But
learning to read food labels.
We're learning to read. Right, you're gonna need to learn how to read food labels. You're gonna have to, because you're gonna make choices. The only way you can do 20 grams of carbohydrates a day is you've got to somehow manage. You got to look at what you're consuming and understand food labels.
Even if you're not a tracker in the way that CJ is, I wasn't necessarily a tracker in that I wrote everything down. I still was aware of how many carbs a certain food had and if I was going to allow that within my allotment every day. And that's where, once again, the keeping it simple really helps, because if you're focusing the majority of your diet on little to no carb foods, your meats, your dairy, things like that, then it's going to be a little bit easier for you to keep it within that 20 grams of carbs.
Right, and we didn't say low-fat foods.
Nope.
We didn't say that, so we're not saying that we're saying just keep your carbohydrates at 20 grams per day. But you're not necessarily also trying to do low-fat food.
That's an entirely different lifestyle.
We don't want you to mix up keto with other stuff. So, but you'll as you start looking at food labels and you start doing this, then you'll start to get the hang of it. Oh, okay, this equals this, and this, if I add cream into my coffee, this is, if I put a tablespoon, this is how much that is, and you'll start getting that. And one of the things, which is another point, is keeping it simple. And one of the ways that I figured out how to keep it simple is I tracked for a while. I figured out what foods I liked.
What's worth it?
What was worth it.
Yeah, well,
not only but I also figured out what I liked, and then I was able to kind of rotate those foods pretty consistently. Now, of course, when you're doing that, there's a tendency to get bored, and then you can maybe then start trying to figure out other foods.
But still keeping it to a minimum, I think, helps keep you structured.
Yes. Now, I'm going to say something that I did that's a big debate in the keto world about those Costco chickens. Now, I don't want to hear it. I don't care what you think about the Costco chickens. Well, when I started keto, I had a Costco chicken every week, maybe 2 of them, because they were accessible.
Inexpensive.
They were inexpensive. I had bacon.
Mm-hmm.
I had leafy green spinach all the time, cheese, and so again, I was able to put things together in combinations.
But you had like 4 or 5 foods
yes.
that you ate every day.
Yes.
And you were successful because
right.
you didn't give your body that much to do. There wasn't a lot of confusion. And then your body becomes used to those fats. I think that it's able to process it much better and start using your own body fat. It just works.
Right, because again, the whole goal is you're trying to turn off all that glucose you've been taking in just by how you normally eat, and you're trying to turn your body into a fat burning machine.
And speaking of fat, there is a school of thought sometimes with the ketogenic lifestyle, maybe not so much now as it once was, that you need to consume a gratuitous amount of fat exogenously, like even through MCT oils and other, just, putting fat in your coffee and putting fat on everything because your goal was to somehow reach this fat macro. And that's not necessarily true, they've come to find out. You want to use fat as a lever for being satiated within yourself. If, a little bit of butter on your vegetables keeps you full and makes you feel satisfied, you don't need to pour a half a gallon of olive oil on it just to try and get enough fat. That's not really how the ketogenic lifestyle is supposed to work. You are supposed to use fat for your own personal satiety. So you don't have to just be guzzling fat.
So now satiety is a big word. What's that mean?
Yes, that means that you're going to feel satisfied. So just eat fat until you feel satisfied. You don't need to reach a certain fat threshold in order to be successful on the ketogenic lifestyle.
Right. And you will find, as you're doing your research, you will find that there's software that can help you with macros, per se. That will calculate macros based on your height, your weight, your age, your goals. You'll find that those things are out there as well. And you just have to figure out one that you can understand and that you like, and that you try. One of the things you'll find about the keto diet is that you may make changes as you go along. Even when you first start. But again, keep it simple, because that will help you be able to do this longer term and do it long enough for you to start seeing the weight loss. Because you should start, I don't want to say most people see weight loss fairly soon.
It can be a little bit more quickly for men than for women.
Right, it can be quicker for men. We get those comments all the time.
Well, and women, we carry 30% more body fat just genetically, just because we're females. But yes, you still should start seeing some weight loss.
Right.
Pretty soon, and that can be a real motivating factor to continue.
Right.
And that's why this is such a popular lifestyle, is because of the weight loss being fairly soon. So that's a nice side effect, because then it motivates you to want to continue.
Right. All right, I'm trying to keep up.
All right, so my last point is I find quite a bit of value in electrolytes. I know that there's discussion with the keto flu. Some people get it, some people do not. The keto flu is just where you can start to feel a little yucky or shaky, sometimes sick to your stomach. And that is generally just kind of a side effect of changing from being that sugar burner into being a fat burner. And it's generally temporary. And sometimes it can be offset by making sure that you have a good electrolyte balance. We have several electrolytes that we recommend. They're in our Amazon favorites list. Some of them are drinks, some of them are capsules, but I really find a value in using electrolytes for helping with that, to make sure that you still have the right amount of sodium and potassium and everything you need. Because when your body lowers insulin tends to be a hormone that holds on to water. So when you start to lower your insulin, a lot of times you're flushing water out of your body, and that's why sometimes water weight is the first to go.
Yeah.
But likewise, that can dehydrate you. And so that's why it's a good idea to make sure you're getting enough to drink, and not just water, but electrolytes within your water.
Right. And this is not on your notes, but you may see more of a difference in how your clothes fit before you see a major change on the scale.
Definitely.
So just keep that in mind. I know we're all been taught, the scales, the scale. Those are a whole separate line of videos.
We have lots of those.
But you actually may see a change in how your clothes start fitting before you start seeing a drastic amount of weight falling off you on the scale. So
Because the scale is definitely not an accurate marker.
Yeah, just
of
keep
what's
that in
going
mind.
on.
The scale is just a gauge. It's not necessarily an accurate gauge.
Take your measurements. I did
Yes.
not do that when I started, and that is a huge regret. I didn't do it until after I had lost a significant amount of weight. Take your measurements. You will be so pleased with your progress if you take your measurements.
And I'll take it further. I'll say it one step further. Take a picture. Of
It's
yourself.
not fun. Those pictures aren't fun, as is already in the video, the one that CJ took of me that motivated me to lose weight. But now I have that picture. And so, yeah, it's not great when you see it, the picture that motivates you to lose weight, but then later on when you have lost weight, you look at it and be glad that you had it, because you can see a difference.
Right. And sometimes you've lost more weight than your brain tells you have, and those pictures will help you realize, wow, I
really have.
I actually have made progress.
Yes.
No matter what I think I look
Right.
like. So anyway, this is just a common sense way to start keto. We tried to not make it very complicated. We will put links in the video description, and we hope this helps you to start your keto diet and have success in 2022. If you're new to our channel, this is our keto conversation segment that we do every Wednesday. We sit down often. Sometimes we sit down and we do conversations like this. Other times we might do food unboxings. We might do what we eat videos. We might do some keto quick cooking segments where we show you some really quick meals to cook. But we do normally do those on Wednesday night, and we do new recipes every Sunday. So the only way you'll know about that stuff is if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We're going to be here. We've been here for quite some time, and we really do want to help you have success on the keto diet. So take care. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.